Just like that.
All right, we getting it in here, Coach. We getting them in, Coach.
They coming on in.
Yes,
we
sir.
want to know about this Florida A&M thing.
Yeah.
I'm tired of talking about it. I'll tell you the truth.
Hey, they done got their A. Yeah, they done got it in.
Yeah, Florida, they done took all the HBCU guys. They always hollering they the best. They ain't look like it now.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, Coach. They getting in here. Hey. I'd like to welcome everybody to the HBCU Coaches Corner, hosted by none other than the swag legend himself, Johnnie Cole. I'm his trusty sidekick, Rocky, and we do have some news to talk about today, Coach. Yeah, this is the first week that we've been on in a long time where all 12 swag teams have a coach. It's been a while, ain't it, Coach?
Hey, what you say? The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, and I would hate to, we supposed to just be coming back on, Coach, after taking a hiatus or some time off. We should be just now returning, but we hadn't even taken a break yet, Coach, because of all the drama they've been having over in the highest of Seven Hills.
Yeah.
So, Coach, before we get started with any of that, Coach, let me know. How you doing, Coach?
Man, I'm doing great, Coach, man. You're always, man. It's one of the favorite times of the day is to come on and speak to our swag audience and friends and family and comrades and we swag, baby. I'm swag. I'm a throne you. Not yet, but I'm a.
You gonna anoint me, Coach?
I'm gonna anoint you, Coach. Not yet, though. Not yet. That's why we got to do this swag tour so you can walk down some of these, like at Texas Southern, we got the Tiger Walk. You know what I mean? So once you walk down there, I'm going to bam, bam, and bam. And then I want you to say, I'm swag.
Hey, Coach. Hey, after all this I've been through the last month, Coach, I've been to board meetings of virtually to 2 colleges, 2 HBCUs. I've seen some really high-level maneuvering so that, alumni and fans could get their choice at coach. But I would be remiss if I didn't bring on the bishop himself, the man with a plan, FAMU's faithful alumni, none other than Bishop Campbell. Y'all have a coach. Tell me how you feel. What does it feel like to finally have a coach after a whole month of seeking and searching?
Man, listen, it feels like when you get that tax refund check that first time and you about to spend that money on something you ain't supposed to spend it on. Coach, you know what I'm saying? Or when you had that first job and get that first paycheck, knowing doggone well you didn't make enough money, but you just happy to get that check on that Friday. So I feel just got paid.
Look at this dressing top. He ain't wearing no Florida A&M stuff.
Coach, let me tell you.
On, man?
Coach, let me tell you something. I'm so excited I had to dress up for the occasion. You know what I mean? I had to dress up for the occasion. I almost put a suit on after I saw what I saw yesterday, Coach. And our basketball team got to win against JSU. So it's a good day down there in the highest of Seven Hills.
They got to win against Jackson State.
Man, listen, the men's basketball team, Florida A&M's men's basketball team, won a basketball game against my JSU Tigers. I'm about to say it like that. Hey, man, listen, the men and the women were up for like 10 seconds. I almost thought we were going to have a double. Rocky, listen, tell you something. If the women had to win, then I would have known God was a rattler. It would have been no doubt in my mind. Jackson State men's basketball, and they had been riding kind of high until they came on down there to the highest of Seven Hills.
Man, I see that.
Hey, that was a big upset. That's a big.
Hey, man, listen. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what's funny. You ain't gonna see no board meetings. You ain't gonna see no search firm when whatever she do with that basketball coach. Ain't nobody. Everybody gonna be like, "Hey, good job, dude. You got it." You ain't gonna see no board meetings, coach. You ain't gonna see no search firms, no search committees. She just gonna wake up one morning and say, "That's our new basketball coach," and that's all we gonna care about.
Hey, what say? Ain't nobody gonna say a word.
Ain't gonna say a word, coach. Let me tell you something. Now she wanna establish her legacy. She can establish it right there on that basketball court. Cause I swear to God, it was only about 20 people at that game. So like I said, if she really want to build something, I tell you, there's a spot right there for her. Leave the football alone and go over there to the basketball. I'm telling you, you could be a hero down there.
I think she learned that. I think she learned that.
But, you know, we talked about this weekend after the social media post by FAMU Athletics posted that they had selected Coach Cozy as the 19th head coach of Florida A&M. We also but we hadn't responded since the monumental press conference yesterday. Let me get you. Were you able to see the press conference, Coach Cole?
No, man. You know, man. I'm gonna leave that to the Florida A&M folks.
Now, well, let me give.
But I will get to it.
Well, let me say, Mr. Campbell, what was your impressions of the press conference?
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you something. I was very happy because once again, that was the first time we had saw our new coach. This is the first time that we saw the original big girl speak about our new coach. But I'm going to tell you what's funny, Coach Cole. You know, we last week we said what she should say to the people, right? We said that right here on this show. Right. Me and you told them what they should say. Now, you know what's funny, Coach? I'm telling you something. She watched this show. So she said verbatim what we said she should have said. She watched this show. It was no question. We told her that right here, we had what we needed. Doing an extensive search. She said it all, Coach. She took notes. I'm proud of her. So that means we're making an impact that she's watching this show. Because we tell the truth.
I want to check.
Hey, listen. She's giving everybody else a check. We might well get something. Golly, $25,000 for 6 days of work. Man, come on.
Yeah, was it really 6 days of work?
Listen. I'm gonna tell you like my friend used to tell me. Days are all relative. 24 hours a day, but I don't mean I work 24 hours. And them boys clearly didn't work no 24 hours a day.
The portal was opened up on Thursday. And it was closed on Sunday.
Well, no, you know, they had to work all the way through until the end. So you got to give them credit all the way through to the end. So that's where they get the 6 days. And then 7th day they rested. So there you go.
Okay. Right. Now let me ask you this. Well, my impressions of the press conference was there was a lot of bullshit going on. Meaning that she actually gave a speech that made it seem like Cozy was her guy.
How about that?
Hey, that sounds like Granger. You know, Granger, I made this house. And the world know who you wanted. Wow.
Like, Coach, she made it in the press conference. You would have made it think that against all odds, she searched high and low and found the perfect guy for the job.
Wow.
And it happened to be
right up
James
underneath
Jones.
your nose.
Huh?
You said the same thing I said, right underneath your nose.
Coach, it wasn't underneath. She actually turned her nose up to that higher, and that's what happened. But she had to get redirected. So that's what really happened.
So that
was the funny thing.
And okay, so 2 weeks ago, Coach Cole looked into this camera and said, "Hey, FAMU alumni, you do know she's the AD, and she makes that hire."
That's right.
Can you still say that today, Coach Cole?
Yes, with the right process. At the end of the day, it's going to come out from her. Ain't nobody else going to make that announcement but her. What she got to understand is it don't matter how you get there. It's that you get there the right way. you know. So, and that's what she's got to understand. You know, you don't throw your weight around when you in programs like this. You know what I mean? This ain't just no any program. This is one of the best in HBCU, if not the best, and a perennial winning program. Let's get that straight. So I think she understands now. Hey, great learning tool for her. Hopefully some of the other athletic directors have been watching. And, you know, like you say, some of them needed to be in the third and second seat where they don't make these mistakes anymore. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see.
And Dr. D makes a comment, those snake shoes and that girl was fine. She fooled you, Rocky. He was her guy. Yeah, I know he was. I know he was. And what I'll ask you on a serious note, Coach, was this her hire, though? Did she get bullied into this? Did the FAMU alumni force her hand, or is this her hire?
Well, I don't know her, but of course she's an intelligent woman. And what makes you intelligent is when you get information and knowledge. And, you know, and when your pride get in the way, your pride sometimes make you make bad decisions. But instead, she got a second chance at it, Bishop Campbell. And she heard some other things from other people about the choices that she made. She don't understand that if she would have made that choice with Gibbs, she would have been out on an island. And she would have been walking there every week like this. And when you don't have to do that, when you don't have to make a decision on your own and blow up a ship, you're sailing. All you got to do is keep it in the middle of the road. So hopefully she's learned from that. I'm pretty sure she have. It was a great experience, and let's see how it goes. Here's one thing about it, though, Bishop. If he don't win, she gonna be all right.
Well, you know what? But see, I like that. You know what I mean? Sometimes, but see, this is called accountability. To your point, the alumni and the fans had a choice, right? So Coach Cozy, or anybody on the staff, let's be honest. Anybody, if Coach Smitty Rock had a guy, Coach Roll, we would have been fine, okay? But the bigger thing was we didn't want to lose the players to the portal. We looked at the pros and cons, and that's really what it came down to. And there was no Trey Oliver coming, no Larry Scott coming, and everybody else was really second-tier candidates.
Well, so I think though you're right. You're 100% right. But also, those guys deserve to stay together. Those coaches on that staff deserve another opportunity to make a run at it. You know what I'm saying? And blowing up the ship was not the best idea.
No. Well, I want to make a couple of points about some of the things what AD Sykes said. But first of all, Rocky, she started off with the shade because the first thing that she said, I got a coach that's going to care about academic excellence and APR. So that we already knew what that was about. So she already has laid that out. So basically, if I cannot get what I want, I'm going to tell you what I need and what I'm going to demand. And you know what? For me, just tell me what the rules of the game are. So you know what? Coach Cozy understands that. She's laid that out. So she might even say, you know what? I'm just going to tell you, you wasn't my choice. You wasn't my choice. But I'm going to tell you what I want. Because I wanted a guy, APR guy. You're going to have to be an APR guy. Coach Cozy is up to that task. Those coaches are up to that task. The compliance, those players are up to that task. So I think that's an easy hurdle to jump over. I think the next thing, which was pretty funny to me, when she said we did this extensive search. The search wasn't extensive. We had high school coaches that were interviewed. There was no any vetting of that list. Anybody that put their name on there wasn't there. So I'm not going to give you that. So if you want to tell us that there was this extensive search firm that went out and pulled these names, no. You're not going to tell me that. And last but not least, I think what I hope she understands is that, to your point, you cannot be out on an island. You have got to work with the collective for the greater good of the university. So I hope that she has learned from this experience that, you know what, I need the alumni. I need the athletes. I need the administration. I need myself. to all be going in the same direction. So what I'm really hoping is that she learns from this and understand that the next choice that she makes, talk to some stakeholders, understand, because she's, like I said, she's going to have to make some decisions with that basketball team. There's no doubt about it. She's going to have to make a decision.
How long you been there?
Huh?
How long has he been there?
I want to say this is Coach McCollum's 5th year. I want to say that. Yeah, I want to say it's 5th year. I want to say that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And we have not had anywhere close to a winning season. And we got one of the best, as they say, gyms in the SWAC, and you can't put 100 people in that gym. There's no way that you can't get talent in Florida and Atlanta to come down to play basketball in Florida A&M with such a nice facility and things like that. Once again, that's going to be something that's going to be very interesting. But like I said, that's where she can make her mark at. So I'm going to be curious to see what she does.
Yeah, tell her I got a coach for her too.
You right there up in Atlanta. She might as well listen. I'm gonna tell you something. Maybe they'll have another portal coach and make sure he just puts his name in the portal. So that's the thing. So and real quick, somebody's asking potentially who our QB is. Well, here's the thing. We're going to get, Coach, I know we're going to get in this a little bit later, but I keep seeing this question. We have a young man that transferred from FAU who started. Probably has more playing time than anybody else in the SWAC coming back. So, and he played at a higher level. So we got quarterback, because people was asking who our quarterback. And we got Junior that's been there for 3 years. He's going to have an opportunity to go get that position. So he's been there. So I think the quarterback position is not something that people are going to be shocked, like we're just going to be shooting in the dark on that. So I just wanted to put that out because I keep hearing that.
Well, I wasn't real high on the one y'all just had, and he won the national championship. So if this guy's even close.
So that's what my point. That's what my point was with the people who were criticizing who's your quarterback. I'll say this, FAMU didn't win the SWAC because of their quarterback. He was the SWAC Offensive Player of the Year or SWAC MVP or whatever, really by default. You know what I mean? But they didn't win the SWAC because of the quarterback. So I don't think the quarterback in this particular situation is going to swing the pip. Because here's the reality. What dominant quarterback is returning in the SWAC?
There is none. There is none, to be honest with you.
Body, I just got some information on Body this weekend. Hell, he's the starting quarterback right now for Alabama State.
Well, yeah, because the other quarterback transferred, Coach. So yeah,
the other one
he left.
Then they had a freshman there that it's probably going to end up playing behind Body.
Yeah,
but Body can't lead the facilities they have at Alabama State either.
Yeah,
so he's having a great time there and enjoying it.
Well, I think Andrew's going to be amazing. Like I say, I'll say this. I believe we had a shot to get him down at FAMU. I believe. But again, this is what happens when you don't have your stuff together. So I'm happy for him to go down to Alabama State. I think he's going to do well. Like I say, as long as he just got one game to play us, and then after that, I'm rooting for him for every other game. So that's one of my nephews, so there's no doubt about it. I'm super excited for him.
Yeah. I just hope that they put him in the right system there. He's a system kind of quarterback to me. He's not necessarily a pocket passer, but he can make some throws. You know what I mean? But he's exciting. I mean, he's more. I would put him in a Lamar Jackson role. He's that type of guy. He's electrifying sometimes. It's when you make him throw the ball 30, 40 times, I don't think that's his strong point.
Yeah. So that's going to be the things you're going to have to work on.
Yeah. Well, what we've seen from Andrew is that he's been able to take over a game at times, right? And we haven't seen that from a lot of players that play quarterback in the SWAC. You know what I mean? Playing right now, current playing. So I think that gives him an edge as far as quarterback. But I don't think that he swings the pendulum all the way over to Alabama State, considering that TSU had him for 2 years and you were able to see they had they had some success with him, but not tremendous success with him at quarterback. So you have to keep that in mind. Now he may have Go ahead.
We ain't talking about the yards and the passing. We talking about the W's.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the only way you can't win a SWAC championship by having the most yards, most touchdown passes, and all that. None of that counts on your record. It's about W's. And again, you know, a lot of people.
Go ahead.
No, a lot of people objected to my position that once FAMU selected Cozy, they reclaimed the throne as the top team going into the 2024 season. A lot of people gave me pushback on that, but I don't see how you can argue with that considering the talent they have returning. Also, Coach Cozy said that you guys have a guy, Rodney Hill, who had previously entered the portal, was going to University of Miami, and he says he's flipped that commitment to FAMU, back to FAMU now.
Well, let me say this a little history, Buff. Little history. The most prolific passer in the SWAC's history, and tandem between a quarterback and a wide receiver, Willie Totten and Jerry Rice, they didn't win the SWAC. They did not win the SWAC.
They didn't.
They lost to Alcorn State, who went 10-0.
And played one of the greatest HBCU, one of the greatest college football games ever played. Yes. And I was in that stadium with 63,000 people on a Sunday. That's how big the game was. They had to move it to a Sunday.
Yeah. And people were sitting in the walkway.
Yeah.
They had sold over the amount of tickets.
Where was that game played?
In Jackson, at Jackson.
Jackson Memorial Stadium.
Wow.
Yeah. See, when we was on the SWAC tour, me, Willie, and the quarterback at Alcorn, you know, we all hung out a little bit. You know, we knew each other. You know what I'm saying? So it was a heck of a game, man. Heck of a game. It was tight. But as you were saying, I think that Cozy and his group, man, they got to do a lot of soul searching to be able to not jump over each other's. That's what I worry about. They got the players, but it's about the relationship between the coaches and how they get it back over to the players. You know what I'm saying? Whatever Willie was doing, all you got to do is squeeze the trigger, man. You don't have to change it. Just squeeze it. So hopefully all that happens and take place. But they, like you said, Rocky, I mean, they way better talent than most teams in our conference.
I completely agree, and again, you know, everybody else has to battle it out for second place at this point, as far as I'm concerned.
Hey,
again,
what you say? It's like the Republican race, huh?
Yeah, it's Trump and everybody else.
Everybody going for second place.
Yeah, again, you know, especially when you come into you guys may remember a year like this, Coach Cole. Has there ever been a year going into a SWAC season where there is not a dominant coach in the league? There's not a championship coach in the league. There's not one guy. There's not one championship level coach in the league. Have you ever remember a year like that where, you know, you don't have a Dion, you don't have a Fobbs, you don't have a Pete Richardson, you don't have I forget the gentleman at Jackson State, Comagy. You don't have a Comagy. Yeah. Well, you don't have a Comagy.
Well, definitely coaching wise, that you don't have these strong coaches that we had when either I came through as a player or as a coach. You know, you had several strong coaches that every year, you know, in the 90s on to now, I mean, you had Jackson State has won it. Grambling has won it. Southern has won it. Alabama State has won it. You know what I'm saying? It's been the only teams that, even when Willie Totten was coaching Ballard, you know, they were tough. You know, you had Coleman at Pine Bluff. My man coached there for 10 years, Rocky. 2 winning seasons, right? They were SWAC champions. They were SWAC champ. He won the SWAC. So you couldn't sleep on nobody. You know, you had to come play. Comegy was when he got in the league. You know what I mean? It was just tough teams, man. Coach Jones of Alabama A&M, one of the best defenses ever been in the SWAC. You know, it was just a tough. You couldn't come in and say what you said. Florida A&M gonna run through everybody. Never happened where one team that just ran through the conference every year. You know, just one team. Never.
Other than Jack State in the 80s. Southern had a good run in the 90s, but that Jack State run was legendary. But I do want to say this. I think we got to give, and I think he's going to have the pressure that Willie had. Coach Robinson at Alabama State, I think, is a good coach. I think he's put Eddie Robinson at Alabama State. I think he's a good coach. I think he's an ascending coach. And I think this is where you're going to find out is he going to be able to move from a good coach to a great coach. Because, see, all the pressure's on Alabama State now. They've got a quarterback. They got Jackson State coming to their building. They got FAMU coming. So everything is set up for them to win the SWAC based off of what they did last year. So now we're going to see, is he going to be able to make the adjustments, make the play? And I'm going to tell you what's funny about this. That first game against North Carolina Central is going to tell a lot about that team right off the rip.
I'll be remiss if I don't add Eddie Robinson to that. He built that. I'll be remiss by that. Well, here's the deal, you guys, about our conference now. What you have now is most defensive coaches are the head coaches. Curtis Thomas Alcorn, DB coach. Bubba McDowell, DB coach. You got new guy Chris Dishman, DB coach. You got more defensive guys being the head coach. So here's what happens when you have that. You have low scores on offense. You see more defensive things going on. If you look back, and I hate to say it, and it ain't as exciting as when you used to see the 30 and 40 points put up a game. You know what I mean? Guys breaking passing records and receiving records. You don't see that no more. And for people from outside, don't understand that coaching style changes. What makes Eddie Robinson a good coach at Alabama State now is that he wants to run the ball. He don't care about the ball the game being close. He's real conservative. All right, so that means the scores don't get away from him. Now, if you look at them, they finished 6-5 this year.
7-4.
7-4. That's what I want to say. 7-4. But all of them was close.
Yeah,
all those games was close. Same thing with Prairie View. Prairie View continue to beat Texas Southern because they run the ball. Continue to beat them because they run the ball. One year, Bubba only threw 2 passes. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at the conference now, that's why you don't see that high scoring, ball throwing all over the field successfully. You see more ground and pound.
Well, let me ask you this, Coach. As football as a whole is trending toward offensive head coaches at the FCS level, at the NFL level, they're trending toward offensive coaches. What do you attribute SWAC being the outlier and hiring majority defensive coaches, as you pointed out? What do you attribute that to?
Here's what's happening in the football period. When the spread came out, some knew, tosses, reverses, all that quick stuff, bubble screens, short game, boom, 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 boom. Well, it caught defensive coaches off guard. What does that mean? That means we used to have these big old defensive linemen. They couldn't tread, couldn't run east and west. You know what I mean? All they could do was push pianos. We had these big old linebackers on the inside because you had to protect the ISO. Remember the ISO, Rocky?
Yeah,
double
absolutely.
Down, pick up that fullback. All right. So what happens was the defensive coaches got smart and switched personnel. Now they took those big old linebackers and made them defensive linemen. They can run and change directions. They took safeties and moved them down now to linebackers. So now you got more athletes on the defensive side of the ball. So now I got athletes like you got athletes, but now all you're going to do is stay in 2x2. And if you don't know what I mean, 2 receivers on one side, 2 on another, or 3x1, and you just going to give me those formations. So now you're easy to prepare for because you're not going to show me a lot of different looks. So now what I'm going to do to you defensively, I'm going to show you a lot of looks. You might think I'm in 2 high, I might be in 3. You might think I'm in 3, I might be in 2. You might think I'm in 2 zone or man, I might be in 2 Kathy. So that's what has happened, that the defensive coaches have caught up with the offensive coaches or the offensive scheme and personnel. So that's what I see. And that's why you don't see a lot of 4th downs and shorts. They don't make them because they got all these skilled kids on the field. And that's what's happening.
Coach,
can y'all shake that?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Hey, you know, I'm a football guy, and I love that kind of talk, Coach.
Yeah.
But why can't you run a more innovative offense at the SWAC level? You know, let's look at FCS as a whole, and Blue brought up something very interesting. The top teams in FCS aren't very diverse offensively. They run the ball and move it on the ground. That's North Dakota State, South Dakota State, schools like that. They move it on the ground. Even Montana State, even though they ran the spread, they had a lot of quarterback power, quarterback count, a lot of that kind of stuff. That seems to win at the FCS level. What makes that? Is there a different caliber of athlete? That's why that can win at the FCS level, and you don't have a lot of that winning. Well, I guess Harbaugh runs a more conventional offense, and he won the national championship this year. So I guess the more conventional offense can win. It just seems like everybody's running the spread now, Coach.
Without, and some guys are running the spread and don't know how to run the spread. You know, football is a copycat type deal. What is hot? What is hot? Fortunate for me as a coordinator, I've always just stayed with what I got because, you know, we talked before that I always have everything in my toolbox. I'm going to have a power game, short yardage game, spread game, 2-minute offense game, option game, screen game, and a draw game. And I think as an offense coordinator, that's how you keep people off balance, where they can't just stack up against you. And a lot of these guys are going to these clinics or when the spread came out and getting 2 or 3 plays and then start trying to put it into their system. My offense is what I played in, you know what I mean? As well as I picked up on the way. So I know it inside out. So a lot of these guys are copycatting and not necessarily understanding what all in terms with running the spread offense. To me, I don't think the spread offense is something that you commit to totally. It's almost like the wing tee. The wing tee, if you're going to run the wing tee, you're going to have to be total wing tee. And you got to be able to run all the series that go with the wing tee. You can't piece it together. If you piece it together, you ain't going to be successful. And that's what you see with this spread offense. First of all, when they start running spread, like I said earlier, they were just beating you with personnel. Now I got 5 skilled people on the field. You got 4. And you really couldn't count the safeties as skilled, depending on their size. So that's what happens, and that's what have changed and why the spread is not putting up those numbers. But there's 3 things that win championships. Great special teams, great defense, run game on offense. That's what wins championships. And I ain't said Name one. Let's talk. Tell me a team that threw the ball 300-400 times a game. Don't just give me one team. Give me several. They have won either a NFL championship or a NCAA championship. Name one. You can't really name one. Alabama always ran the football. You know what I mean? Georgia ran the football. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Look at the Super Bowl. Just watch the Super Bowl. The number one tailback in the league, San Francisco 49ers, McCaffrey. You can't get around that. You know what I'm saying? So,
but it seems like so many, I started watching, well, the spread wasn't prevalent when I was playing. Spread was more of an innovative offense when I was playing. There were a few teams running it. In my district in high school, we had a guy named that ended up being the Kentucky coach. We had 2 high school coaches in our league when I was in high school. One of those coaches was Art Bryles, and we beat the dog breaks off of them. And then the other high school coach was, this name too, Hale Mummy. Those guys were high school coaches in my district in high school. And we used to beat the brakes off all of them, right?
Wow,
we ran a more conservative offense. Something happened in between 1988 when I graduated high school and maybe 2000 to where the spread was proliferated all over high school football. In that 12-year period, it seemed like every team was running the spread. The problem I had with the spread was this. It made your defenses less physical. And that's the problem I had with the spread, because you practice so much throwing the ball practice against throwing the ball on defense. When it was time to get in those 2 tight end sets with that fullback and all that kind of stuff, the defenses almost seemed like they were out of sync because they hadn't practiced very much against that. So that's the issue I had with the spread. The offensive production has been there, was there for years, but on the defensive side, they just seemed like the defenses couldn't stop anybody because they weren't no longer physical anymore. How did you combat that, Coach, of keeping your defense physically stout while also running a spread style offense?
No, I don't run a spread. That was going to say, not change who I am and what I do, and understand that this game, I've always led. I led the OVC in passing. I led the KCAC in passing. I was real up in the top 3 in the SWAC in passing. But I knew and understood that I need to get that run game together. And the spread offense does make your defense soft, because it ain't no lead, it ain't no power play, it ain't no slant and kick it in and out. It ain't none of that. It ain't no helmet on the helmet and pads on pads. So without a doubt, that's what's been happening. The spread has slowed up. I don't change who I am and what I do with the ball. You know what I'm saying? My job is to make sure that we score any way possible. And a lot of times, your personnel, and this is what I want to say, a lot of times guys are just running the spread because of spread. They ain't got a quarterback that can pass. They ain't got wide receivers that can catch. And you just ball hiked over your head. It's especially in high school. It's just pitiful.
That's what I see, Coach.
It's just well, that's what's going in. Let's do it. No. I mean, I interviewed for the head job at Bethune-Cookman. And one of the questions on the interview was, what's your RPO game? I said, man, I did an RPO back in the 90s. What are you saying? You know what I mean? No, man, my job as an offensive coordinator is to score any way possible, whether it's power, running game, throwing the game, learn how to keep people. And that's the other thing. In the spread, you can't control the clock. It's hard for you to control the clock. You got one back. The defense know we got to stop you. So we're going to put an extra man in, and then just keep running the spread. Keep running, keep giving that ball on the inside. So some people don't know how to run, Rocky. And that's the problem. That's one of the problems.
Well, the original spread that I remember was the run and shoot. And that wasn't just a formation, that was a complete system, right? And that system was very successful early on in the mid 80s, late 80s. And it clowned a lot of great defenses, you know. But
the Houston Gamblers made it a fit. The Houston Gamblers down in Houston with the run and shoot. Yeah, run and shoot was the spread offense. The first, they didn't call it spread. They called it the run and shoot. It's the half roll and throw it either front side or get something coming backside.
Hey, Coach, I want to show our age. I know you're going to remember this. Now, Mouse Davis, who was that coach, Coach, you're going to remember this. He actually was at Portland State with a quarterback named Neil Lomax. That led 1AA and passed him, Rocky.
Yes.
Got drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals at that time. So right before Totten, he had this offense that he actually stole some of the concepts from Archie Cooley, from the story I was told. Okay, Coach, get it.
I think Mouse Davis admits that he got some of those concepts from Archie Cooley.
So this goes back, and we're talking about the innovation on the 1AA level. He was doing this at Portland State. Got Neil Lomax. Hal Mummy was at Valdosta State doing the same thing under that tutelage. So what's funny is what we've seen, especially at this level, and this kind of goes back to coach and about being a coach and coming up the ranks, learning under another coach, learning offensive systems and sets and things like that. Being able to say, hey, you know what? Because that's what bothers me. I don't have a great quarterback, but I got a stable of running backs. Let's get into a two-back set. Let's maybe run the ball. But everybody does it, and these kids can't take a snap underneath the center, right?
The worst thing a coach can do is go to a clinic and come back and change his whole offense. Worst thing you do. That means changing terminology and everything. Forget what players I got. This offense, I had a kid that played under me named Leon Murray. I don't know if you remember. He was in the Heisman race. 3,000-yard passer we transferred to us from Pittsburgh at Tennessee State. He became an offensive coordinator at Morehouse. They scoring 30 a game. Here come the spread in the early 2000s. His coach told him, go to a clinic. Man, we need to run the spread. He turned his whole offense to the spread. 2 years later, he fired Leon Murray. He should have fired himself. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Man, when you get that head job, you got to know what you're doing. I know I ain't changed. I don't want to change the subject, but you got to know what you're doing, man. And you got to have confidence in what you're doing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I used to go and watch a lot of youth football not so long ago, Coach. And the reason why I couldn't stop watching youth football, because they had kids hiking the ball over the quarterback's head, trying to run the spread offense at 8U and 10U when they barely knew how to catch and throw and whatever. And it's frustrating nowadays to go to those games and see those guys try to execute those spread concepts with kids who are just now learning football. I just don't see any value in it, but that's just my bias.
Well, let me give our audience some things to do when they go, or if they got a child or something that's playing football. When you walk up on the football field and you see kids not on time, jerseys half falling out, take your kids somewhere else. If you see watching practice where they get in a drill and stay in the drill for an hour, a hidden drill, get your kid and go somewhere else. When you go to a school, a college, and are we still there? We good?
Yeah. You know how you freeze sometimes, Coach. You'll get back. Just keep talking.
Yeah, So when you go somewhere and watch a team, and you look at their socks and their uniform and kids' jerseys all out and coaches' shirts all out, and everybody is coaching. See, now I ref. So when I go to games, I'm watching. You got 12 coaches. You got guys that just showed up at the game, start coaching. They ain't been to practice all week. They start coaching. I took a little league team, Bishop Campbell, with my son. My son said, "Daddy, you need to get your own team." So I took what was left. And our first practice, I said, "Don't bring no balls. I got balls. Don't bring no uniforms. I got practice uniforms for them." I said, "Look, when we come in here, we're going to come in here for 2 hours, and we're going to come here to work. This is what we're going to do first, second, third. I don't allow people to dribble balls while I'm talking." So right now, I'm working on what? Everybody focus. This is what we come in. I would have what we working on. Defense for the first half an hour. Offense first, shooting, dribbling. We would come in and get our fundamentals out the way the first half of practice. So when you go into practice and watching football, you got mothers out there who never put in football. Get there and run here. Take your kid and run. Because he's not being raised properly. He's not being taught what he needs to be taught. And whoever that head coach, ain't no head coach. Head coaches are organized. They know what they want to work on. They know where they're weak at. You know what I mean? And you can't have everybody over there. Tell your assistant coaches, if you're going to be an assistant coach here, this is how you got to dress, and this is how you got to look. If you can't come like that, then you need to stand over the sideline with everybody else. Because you need to have total control of your football team. I see it every week. Last week I ref 14 7-on-7 football. And I could tell if a team was disciplined, I could tell which one was going to win. It ain't nowhere around that, guys. It ain't nowhere around that. You're not going to be successful if you're not organized and everybody is on the same page. All right, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah,
Hey, Rocky, let me tell you, let me just, I want to expound on that, because I think what you see now, we're in this phase where everybody, because they sit on the couch, they think they know football, right?
Right.
When I was playing youth, I'll tell you a true story. Everybody knows Jimmy Smith, Jackson State legend, should be in the Hall of Fame. Jimmy and I played on the same youth team. Jimmy's father was our coach. He was our coach. So everybody in the city of Jackson that had teams, there were people, these guys had played the game and had coached the game. So when they came down to the youth level, they taught us. There weren't guys like when you ask these coaches now, you say, "Hey, you ever played?" "No, I ain't played, but I watched it a lot. I know it."
They played Madden, coach. They
played Madden. So that's the transition that I see when I sit back and I watch these youth leagues and I go with my friends and I'm like, who is this person coaching? It's very obvious that they don't even understand simple terminology of football. It's obvious. It's obvious. Football has certain gaps, things like that. You got to know the technique. There are certain things. And I would think about when Coach Smith and this was stuff coming straight from W.C. Gordon, that he would have, no, you're not doing this right. You're not doing it. The fundamentals of things that he brought from Jackson State, and it was so funny when I saw Jimmy, and me and Jimmy grew up together. Jimmy was a year older than me. And then when I saw him, you could see those fundamentals at a young age. And that's why he's the NFL great. Because he was learning the fundamentals in 5th, 6th grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. The fundamentals.
You find a lot of coaches in college try to get their kids, like wide receivers, to run routes like they run in pros, double moves and all that kind of stuff. And I've never been taught that. I was taught by Lionel Taylor. It's get from point A to point B fast as you can. So it's just a lot of organizational things that I see that's not in place. I see, it's nothing wrong with being close with your players. But what goes wrong on is when your players don't respect you. Like I always tell my players, look, I'm not here for you to like me. You're not here to like me. You're here to graduate. I'm here to win championships. But one thing that you're going to do is you're going to respect me. and I'm gonna make sure that you get across that stage. So those are the type of things that I look at when I go out and watch teams, and I just about can say what team gonna be more successful than the other team.
Hey, Coach, I want, before we get off of here, we're gonna try to stick to our hour limit today, but I wanted to go over this schedule for.
Gotta do that.
Right, and I was gonna do it by team, but I say hell, we'll do it week by week, and then we'll look at each week and see what we think about the schedule. Can you see this?
And let's make out their record right now, and then we'll compare it in the fall.
Who we think will win the game?
Yeah, when we go through their record.
Oh, okay.
Well, Rock, if you're going to do that, you probably want to go team by team then, if you're going to do that, to be honest with you.
Well, I can go back. What I'm saying, I'll do weeks, and then okay. I'll go back and look at the video and see who y'all pick, and I'll compile a record. Right. So let's look at this here, Coach. Texas Southern and Prairie View. That starts out week 1, the Labor Day Classic.
Wait, you gonna ask me? Ask Coach Campbell.
I got PV, no doubt.
Well, here's the thing I think we should start looking at. We have a group of new coaches, right? And then we have coaches that are there. Now, the question is, are their teams ascending or descending? So here's the interesting thing. We've got a rookie coach, Coach Disman, team kind of descended just overall. Then we've got Prairie View that has won the West. But McDowell's been there. He understands his team. He knows how to recruit for his team. So, I mean, this is very obvious right here that Prairie View is going to win this game big. They're going to start off strong and things like that. So, again, I'm looking at the storylines of these coaches and what type of team that they're taking over. Is it an ascending coach? Is it an ascending team or is it a descending team? And then what is case in point? So that's what I'm looking at right there.
In that case, you're looking at the West champion versus the bottom team of the conference.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I pointed that out, Coach.
So we got I think we can say PV and on that one. If Coach, I think so. We're gonna give PV the win on that one. That's 2-1. Coach picked his guy.
No, I gotta pick PV.
Oh, okay.
I can't be messing my record up.
Okay, so TSU is 0-1. All right. So then we go to Southern and Prairie View. And this should be week 4. You know, you got to understand, we're making these picks with no injuries, just what we know based on largely last year's situation and circumstance going into this year, what we know. And we know Southern has a new coach. And again, they're playing Prairie View. And I'm going to go ahead and go with Prairie View on this one. And that makes Southern.
Damn, Prairie View season over. Shit, they out the block, ain't they? Damn.
You know.
Jesus.
Okay.
Man, they jumping on them quick. Hell, I'm going to get Prairie View 2-0.
That's what I think, too. So then we got and remember, this is just the SWAC schedule. This isn't the overall schedule. So then we go to September 28th, and we got Alabama A&M and Florida A&M. I got Florida A&M with the victory.
Go, Rattlers, go, and they gonna strike again.
Do you have any objection to that, Mr. Campbell?
Well, let's again. I want to kind of get some depth. So when that game is played, this will be the Rattlers' 5th game already, because they play week 0, they play Labor Day weekend, they play Miami, and they play Troy. So for them, you're going to kind of know what this team is about, and then coming home. So this will be their 2nd home game. So again, I think this is going to be comfortable. You know, I think the Florida A&M will roll on this.
Well, let me say this to you guys. A team make its biggest jump from game 1 to game 2. So if they terrible in game 1 and terrible in game 2, shit, coach, you might as well, hey, lower the flag down because that's who they're gonna be. So yeah, I got Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman, Alabama State. I'm gonna go with Alabama State. I ain't heard no news on Bethune. They've been quiet down there.
Well, let me tell you something, Coach. So Coach Woody's done a great job in the portal. Got a lot of players that he's brought in. This is going to be now. This is what I was talking about: ascending and descending. I think Bethune-Cookman is one of those ascending teams. I think Coach Woody is doing what Bethune-Cookman has done really well. Let's find guys that fit our program. Let's find guys that want to come back to the state of Florida. And he's worked that portal well. I'm telling you, this game right here is going to be one of those games I'm going to be watching to see where Bethune-Cookman have they moved to the next level where they say, you know what, we can win this game to get us to a winning record. I'm super excited about that game. So that's one of those games that.
Go ahead.
So that's one of the things, and I just wanted to put that out there because, like I said, they have done a great job recruiting. Like I said, I'm very curious to see what Bethune-Cookman, because, like I said, remember the defense was stout last year for Bethune. And the question is,
Dr.
Question,
Bishop,
yeah, yes, sir.
Look, we gonna from now to then we're gonna do this again.
Absolutely.
And compare. But right now we just going off of really what's going on
right now.
The season is not over yet either.
Yeah.
So Alcorn. So okay. So we're gonna give Florida A&M the victory. We're gonna give Alabama State the victory. What about Alcorn State and Mississippi Valley? I think that's a no-brainer. I think we give Mississippi Valley.
Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today, it's Friday, February 2nd, 2024. Number 1. South Carolina holds the first official Democratic primary in the country Saturday. President Biden and Vice President Harris have traveled throughout the Palmetto State in the days, weeks, and months leading up to this kickoff election. In 2020, South Carolina, particularly black Democratic voters in South Carolina, provided the significant boost to a faltering Biden campaign, fast-forwarding the former vice president to front runner status. Political observers point to the importance of the black vote to Joe Biden's success, while also recognizing that it has waned, especially among young black men. Number 2. President Joseph R. Biden Jr. marks the beginning of National Black History Month with an official proclamation from the White House, recognizing the profound contributions of black Americans to the nation and underlining the integral role black history plays in shaping the identity of the United States. Acknowledging the enduring struggle against the moral stain of slavery, the president emphasized the nation's commitment to realizing the promise of equality for all Americans. Number 3. When William Grant Still mounted the podium and began conducting the Los Angeles Philharmonic in 1936, this marked the first time that an African-American led a major symphonic orchestra. Raised in Little Rock, Arkansas, Mr. Still began studying medicine, but gave it up to pursue his first true love, a career in music. His symphonies, operas, and ballets have been performed in many parts of the world. His most popular work is the ballet Lenox Avenue, which depicted life in Harlem. Happy Black History Month, everyone. Number 4. A 29-year-old man has been sentenced to 48 years in prison for the murder of a transgender woman he was in a relationship in 2021 in Prince George's County. DeAllen Price fatally shot Taya Ashton in her apartment in Maryland on July 17, 2021, after he learned that Ashton was not born female, according to prosecutors. And according to the Human Rights Campaign, at least 32 transgender and gender nonconforming people were fatally shot or killed by other violent means in 2023. Number 5. Sherry Waters, the founder of Pauline's Tea Bar Apothecary in Charlotte, North Carolina, is giving the community the option for a new kind of happy hour. Opening the doors of her herbal tea lounge in 2019, Waters sought to create a safe space for people to sit back and enjoy a variety of offerings. The Black woman-owned tea shop, with its cozy atmosphere, serves as an apothecary or healing space to help visitors refuel and gain respite from the busyness of life. life. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Life is a series of choices. Let's choose to live our lives with purposeful intention. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.